Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Awad and I do social media for NC State Extension as well as the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. And we have been getting a lot of questions lately from you all about how to navigate analytics on social media. So today I'm going to focus on Twitter analytics specifically. So the first thing that you'll want to do is go to analytics.twitter.com. Make sure that you are already signed in to the Twitter account that you want to view. And then from there, you'll be taken to this summary page, which details activity that has been on your account for the last 28 days. So you'll see up at the top right here, it will tell you the number of tweets you've had, the number of impressions your tweets have received. For those of you who don't know, impressions are the number of times people have viewed your tweet. And it doesn't necessarily mean individual views of different people. It could be the same person viewing your tweet multiple times. So if someone saw your tweet 5 times, that would count as 5 impressions. It'll also tell you how many people are visiting your profile, how many people are mentioning your Twitter account in their tweets. So basically how many people are talking about you, as well as the number of followers. And then to the right of that information, under each metric, you can see whether you've grown in that area percentage-wise based on the previous 28-day period, comparing it to this 28-day period, or whether you've decreased. So you can see, just glancing at it, we didn't tweet as much, for example, but more people are viewing our tweets. Then when you scroll down, it breaks it down month by month. So you can see what your top tweet was for any given month, your top mentions, so that's based on engagement, based on someone else who was talking about your account, your top follower, and then your top media tweets. So media tweets are tweets that use photos and videos, or even graphics like this. So that's kind of just gives you like a yearly overview if you want to see in general what tweets are performing the best on your account. If you want to go into a more in-depth look into it, you can click on tweets at the top right here. And I always like to look at this data on a month-by-month basis. So you can change the month that you're viewing. So I'm going to start with May 1st and then go to May 31st, or you could just hit May 2020 up here, and then I'll hit update. So this will tell me everything that I've tweeted for the month of May, and then it'll break it down by impressions, engagements, and engagement rate. So when you scroll down through this, you can kind of look and see, okay, which tweets are getting the most views. So I see that murder hornets are getting a lot of views. So that makes sense because that was a hot topic for the month of May, because people kept asking our entomologists whenever they would see something that kind of looked remotely like a murder hornet, they wanted to confirm whether it was or not, even though they're currently not found in North Carolina. So we had pushed out a lot of tweets related to helping you identify what they actually look like in comparison to insects that they're commonly mistaken for. Something else that you can look at too is, like I said, the engagement. So with Twitter, Twitter counts engagements as obviously, you know, your retweets, your likes, and your replies. So people who are interacting with your tweet, but something else that it also includes, which the social media hub at NC State doesn't really typically include when we think of engagements, is clicks. So that not only includes link clicks in your tweets, but if they just clicked anywhere on the tweet. So that includes clicking on hashtags, avatars, if they click to see more of the tweet. So that's something to make note of. And if you are interested in viewing specific activity to see how that engagement is broken down, you can see for this tweet, we had 9 link clicks, 5 likes, 3 media engagements, so clicking on the photo itself, 1 retweet. So out of this information, I would be more curious to see how many likes and how many retweets we're getting, and we didn't get any replies, so I would look for that too. Another thing to look at is your top tweets from a month-by-month basis. So here I can kind of look and see what trends are popping up. So again, you've got Murder Hornets as your top tweet. Murder Hornets is the second top tweet. And then my third top tweet is a profile on the hemp industry. So that's something that I know from, previous reports that I've done is very popular with our followers. So that makes a lot of sense to me. So you can basically take this information and use it as a way to inform yourselves, okay, what kind of content should I be creating in the future? What are my followers interested in? So that can help increase the level of engagement you're receiving in your channels. Something else too, when you're comparing impressions and engagements, I always like to look at how it compares to this time last year. So for instance, when I'm looking at this number of impressions, it's hard to tell if it's good or bad if I don't have something to compare it to. So I would compare it to what happened last May. And the reason we do it for this time last year is because you want to compare it based on, how things are performing seasonally, because usually what happens is a lot of times, whether we have like a good month on Twitter or a bad month on Twitter depends on what's happening currently in like the world. So like what events we're having, that sort of thing. So I know winter, because there's not a lot of things that are growing out in the fields, for instance, like if your account is focused on agriculture, that might mean that you might not get a lot of engagement in the winter versus in the summer. So it's better to compare like a summer period to another summer period. Another thing to take note of is if you actually go back to just twitter.com and then hit the more button, you can go into your media studio. And the media studio also has an insights tab to it. So there's 2 things that you can look at here. First thing is audience. So you can actually say I want to see when my followers were online for the month of May. You can click into that, and then it'll tell me on average, based on the dark areas right here, this is when my followers were online the most. So what I like to do is schedule out my tweets during these times of high traffic on Twitter. Something that I've noticed in terms of timing your tweets is for us, there's more engagement that happens on Twitter during the week, during work hours specifically, as well as late at night in the evenings, like 9 p.m., 8 p.m. We don't typically get a lot of engagement on the weekends, but there is a little more engagement on the weekends, maybe at night. Usually actually Sunday night is a dark color as well, because people on Sunday night, they typically go onto Twitter because I'm assuming they want to catch up on what they missed over the weekend to prepare them for the week ahead. So that's a trick that I've used and noticed to help me get more engagement on my tweets. And another thing you can look at is conversations. So again, I like to look at it on a monthly basis. So I'm going to update that. So you can see who is talking about you, and it breaks it down between the most influential and the most often. So the most influential means those accounts that have the most followers that are talking about you. So they could either be at mentioning you specifically in a tweet, or they could just be engaging with your content via like, reply, retweet, etc. So I can see, you know, we have a TV station, news TV station following us, NC State University. Obviously, they have a lot of followers, and it would make sense that they're talking about extension. Governor Roy Cooper is on here because he tweeted about the Count on Me NC program that Extension is a partner on. So we were excited to see that tweet. So you can kind of just go through here and see if anything catches your eye. Maybe give them a follow if they're not, and if they're not already following you, they might follow you back. And then you can, sorry, I zoomed in here. And then you can potentially increase the number of impressions that your tweets are receiving based on these followers. You can also look at who has tweeted the most often about you. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 accounts are all affiliated with Extension in some way, so that makes sense. But then there's some other accounts down here that they aren't necessarily affiliated with Extension, so I might, you know, click into their accounts and investigate a little more and then see whether I might want to give them a follow. I know we did that with one account in particular who was kind of like a super fan of ours, and she was so happy that we gave her a follow, and she gave us a shout out on Twitter to thank us, saying she's been following us for a long time. So that just builds goodwill among your followers. Another way to look at your top tweets too, here on the left, is you can filter this out. And you could say maybe only show tweets with at least 10 retweets. That's a pretty high number of retweets. And then again, I can see a tweet about murder hornets was pretty popular. I'm also seeing a lot about Count on Me NC. And these tweets in particular were not stuff that came from our account, but they're still mentioning NC Extension. So you can kind of get an idea too about the conversation that's happening. And so that's basically it with Twitter analytics. So thank you so much for taking the time to tune in, and let us know if you have any other questions.